week totally on core workouts. Now, the reason why we focus on core, once you get your core tight, every part of the body falls in place. All right, once your core is tight, your body's good to go. All right, so we're gonna focus on that this week, show you different variations of it, and the easiest way to achieve the goals that you need to achieve. All right, so the first exercise is the walkouts. Walkouts was the shoulder tap. Now this is geared to working your full body really, but your core and your shoulders mostly. All right, so we come down in a plank position. As you can see, body stiff, core is tight, all right? And shoulder tap. Just grab your shoulder here, put it down, grab the other shoulder, put it down, walk out, and stretch your body, okay? Now, jumping jacks, full body cardio, that's what it gives you. So that one is a simple up and down movement. There's variations of it. You could do the crisscross jumping jacks or the regular jumping jacks, depending on what you're trying to do, all right? Now, the third workout is the lower body plank twist. How this one works, you get in the plank position, half plank, meaning you're on your forearms, all right? And what you do is you twist all the way left, then all the way right, your lower body only, back and forth. While you're doing it, you're making sure that your core is tight. Always make sure your core is tight, all right? And make sure you're on an even plane, all right? So twist left, twist right, 10 times, walk back out. All right, now the fourth workout we did was the high knees. High knees, that's geared towards your lower abs, right? Your core as well. All right, so you bring it up, make sure that the knees come up to your waistline. Just like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Now, the fourth workout was the high knees. We have two versions. The modified version for those that have, let's say you have not so good knees. You can come up one at a time, just like this. Just make sure that the knees come all the way up to your waistline. One at a time like this. You don't have to jump. All right? It is easy on the knees. Now, the last and final workout we did today is the upper body plank twist. Same position, get in the plank position. All right? And you bring one arm up, twist all the way up. Now, your body is parallel to the ceiling. All right? And then down. And again, you're parallel to the ceiling and down. All right? Now, this one, you're working your shoulders, you're working your core, you're working your arms. Then you come up. All right, so those are the workouts for today. I showed you the ones that I have modified, I showed it to you. Do these workouts, you'll get your core tight, you get your body ready for anything. Thank you, Coco and Monique. Good morning, Ghana. Good morning, Africa. This is our workout morning show. My name is Kofi Fitness. This is PY and Z. Now, today, we're gonna show you core workouts to get you fit and strong. Today's Monday, so I hope you're ready. Get energized. We're gonna go hard, all right? So first, we're gonna do stretches to get the body ready, all right? So arms out, rotate forward, reverse, 1, 2, 3, 4. Swing your arms over and twist. 3, 2, 1. To the other side and twist. 3, 2, and 1. All right, to the back. Now let me show you. Right in the middle, there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And to the other side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, shoulders. Rotate them forward first. 1, 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, and 3. Now, neck. Rotate and reverse. Good. All right. So we're ready. Now we're going to start off. First workout is the walkouts. I'm going to show you guys the way to do it, and then we're going to do it. So walkout, then tap, shoulder, walk back out, and stretch. All right, we're gonna do 10 of those. Ready, guys? Let's go. Walk out, shoulder tap, walk back out. 1, again. 2, let's go. 3, make sure as you're walking out that you stretch, your body is fully stretched and your core is tight. Tap and walk out. All right, we got 3 more. Shoulder tap, and walk out. 2 to go, let's go. Tap, tap, last one. And tap, tap, and walk out. All right, good work. Now, we're gonna do jumping jacks. 10, all right? Ready, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, how you guys feel? Good. All right, so now we're gonna get back into plank position. This is all core work, all right? Now, we're gonna twist the lower body from left to right. From left to right. Make sure your core is tight, squeeze your core in, go all the way left and all the way right. All right, so I'm gonna watch you guys do it. Let's go. Make sure you got the right angles. Okay, good. Now come up a bit. All right, now twist all the way left and all the way right. Good. That's 1. Same thing. Make sure your core is very tight. All right, we're doing 10 of those. Let's go, let's count. What number you guys on? 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, good work. Let's stand up. You okay? We're just getting started. All right, now we're gonna do high knees, 10 high knees. All right, let's go. 1, bring them up to your waistline. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, good work. Now we're back on the mat. Core work again. Now we're gonna do the upper body. We did the lower body, now we're doing the upper body. I'm gonna show you guys. Plank position, core tight. Bring one arm up, bring it back in. The other arm up, bring it back in. All right? Let's go, guys. Let me see. Plank position. All right, now let's go. Up, good. Now make sure your core is tight. Come on. Good. All right, let's go. What number you guys on? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, let's go, Z. 9, and 10. All right, that completes our morning workout, Monday morning workout. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you use it to your benefit. This is something you can do early in the morning, 5-10 minutes before you get up and go to work, or before you take care of the baby. This will get your core tight, and if you have a flabby stomach, it'll bring it down. All right? Now we're gonna do the warm down after our workout to get the body cooling down again. So let's go. All right, arms out. Put your arms out. Now rotate forward. 1, 2, 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. Reverse. 1, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, and 4. All right. Now walk in place. Walk in place. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bring your arms out. Extend them. All right, now jog it a bit. Slow motion jog. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. All right, now bend down, touch your toes, stand up, and reach. Again, toes, stand up, and reach. and reach. All right, good. Now, reach over and point. Good. Bring it back down. Other side. And point. All right, good. Hold your body. Twist left. Twist right. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Thank you for joining in. Thank you.
How lovely are those who join routines like this. They shall be called the sons and daughters of God. So make sure wherever you are, please be part of it. It is important that you keep fit, because you don't have to get to 70 years before you start your brisk walking, and so your grandchildren laugh at you. Keep fit from now till that time, and you see the results. And so great to the team, Kofi Fitness, and of course, the other guys at the background. We're excited that you could join. Let us know what you think about our routines as well. Share with us. We'll be glad indeed. Yeah?
Yeah, right. I don't know about that scripture, though. But let's get on with the weather, shall we? The weather prophet is ready. Now, this is a new week, new day, new week, and you need to know what's going to be happening with the weather so that you can plan accordingly. Good morning, Mr. Solomon, the weather prophet. Morning. All right. So, Koku, do you have any idea how the weather should be looking? I mean, per your predictions.
Not really.
I mean, your area, was it misty? And because, I mean, from my place, it was really dry.
Yeah, mine was as well. I'm
Yeah.
not, in any case, I was in a rush. So I was looking at the weather, actually. While I was being chauffeured, I was looking on my phone, looking for news and all of that. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure we're going to be having anything. In any case, even if I had a prophetic call, I have not picked up the call yet. If God was calling me, I've not really picked up the call. And so to even predict the weather is a challenge for me.
It's a challenge,
Let's see how we
right?
can draw back, the weather prophet onto the
Yeah,
line.
that-
But of
that
course,
would be great.
quite a number of things coming up. A very sad one, sad development.
Yeah.
The Obuasi issue, where some people had to be gunned down because, well, they think, as people will say, bona fide or bona fide, they think some properties are their bona fide properties. Look, we might not sit here and talk about things because we don't know the details. But one thing I want us to understand is that we need to exercise a lot of restraint on some of these things. Be circumspect. Young people, watch out. Your life is very important. There are laws in this country. There are also very, very evil people. And that's why we want to teach you well. Make sure that whatever it is that you're going to do it checks a lot of boxes. Would you allow people to live peaceably with you? Very, very important. Wisdom teaches you that. The other one is that within what you're going to do, is it within the right, your right? And is it also going to be taking somebody's right? It's a very sad one, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
will.
We have the weather prophet right now on the line. Good morning.
Good morning, the precious one.
How are we?
We are doing good by God's grace.
Great. New week. What's happening with the weather today in Ghana and then, if possible, other parts of Africa?
Thank you very much, and let me first greet our cherished viewers and listeners of Dominion TV this morning. Another brand new week is here, Monday, 20 days into the month of January 2025, and we are looking at the weather for today over the entire country. Partly cloudy, mist and fog patches are anticipated to form this morning over the coastal, forest and mountainous areas. That is the coastal and the middle sectors this morning, with slight chance of cloudiness and localized rain showers along parts of the coast, especially few areas in Greater Accra region. Hazy and sunny conditions are expected, particularly over southern half of the country, with 30% chance of rain showers over the west coast. that is places like Axim, Hafasane, Cape 3 Points areas. Late afternoon into the evening, the coastal belts will also experience moisture winds of 35 kilometers per hour. So in the afternoon, you see that the wind will be blowing from the sea into the inland areas. The northern sectors will still continue to be will still continue to experience severe harmattan throughout the day. The state of the sea will be very rough today. So our brothers fisher folks should be very careful on their duties so that Ghana will have incidents free at the shore. Temperatures will range between 25 degrees Celsius to 34 degrees Celsius over the coastal belts, 22 degrees Celsius to 37 degrees Celsius over the middle sectors, 19 degrees Celsius to 37 degrees Celsius over the transition belts, and 20 degrees Celsius to 37 degrees Celsius over the northern sectors. So this is how the weather is going to be for the next 24 hours over the entire country. However, should there be any changes, I'll keep you updated for listeners and viewers of Dominion TV to be aware. So today there will be no much activities. The coastal belts will be misty and a bit dry in some parts of the coastal belt, a bit dry. But as the day goes on, the moisture winds will bring some cloudiness and slight chance of rain showers later in the day. Okay. So that's how the weather is going to be for today.
Are we hoping to share similar situation with neighboring countries, Nigeria, Togo, and all of that?
Yes, of course. The same conditions are expected, especially when you go to places like Mali, Niger, northern parts of Nigeria, Burkina Faso. They will experience a severe harmattan. Okay. They will experience severe harmattan. But the southern half or the coastal parts of the West African countries will have lesser harmattan winds. The harmattan winds will not reach there, so you have some cloudiness. If you look at the pictures on the screen, you will see that there are some clouds over there. And this current picture, let me enlighten the listener, the viewers a bit. The lines from the north to south are the harmattan winds, and the ones from the south to the north are the moisture winds. The moisture winds brings out the rain. So the place where the moisture and the harmattan winds meet are the places where it's likely to rain, because the harmattan winds are very heavy. They are heavier than the moisture winds. So when they meet, they force the moisture winds to at least condense and drop some showers over some places. So that's how it's like. So if you look at the screen, you could see that Mali, Niger, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, they are experiencing severe harmattan, and northern part of Ghana also. But when you look at Greater Accra, Central, Western, South, Volta, they are currently experiencing some moisture winds.
I see. Great. I think I see that I'm appreciating the picture now because of how you explained it. So if you're living in the northern parts of Nigeria, into Benin and all of that, that means that there's going to be some harmattan. You should be prepared. Thank you so much, the Weather Prophet.
You're always welcome.
Have a beautiful day. Okay, so there you have it. The weather is going to be a little dry and hazy. There might be droplets of showers in some parts of the country, so you should be advised. Now, it's time for us to get into what's happening, local news, international news, just to give you tidbits and headlines on what's happening so that you are informed. Up next is Wake Up Buzz. Great. Coco, would you want to take this first story?
Absolutely. We start off with the local news. Use part of tourism levy to support private sector. Hotels Association tells tourism minister designated. So that's by way of the local news and hoteliers, or if you like, the Hotels Association lobbying already that the tourism levy is to support the private sector. Well, you see how it goes?
Designate.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's not even.
Yes. Honorable Jifa Abla
Gumashi. Beautiful smile there. Anyway, President Mahama orders immediate investigations into shooting incident at AngloGold Ashanti Gold Mine. So as part of this story, he's also given them the job to help pay the bills for the burial of those who are dead.
Who?
The 7 people.
Yes, the
happened
AngloGold
to-
Ashanti
Yes.
must.
They must.
Yes.
It's like, okay,
That's
so
a directive.
I'm putting it nicely.
No. That's a directive from the
That
presidency.
they must help with the
funerals
of
and
all
of course
that.
all the injured persons as well.
Yeah.
All right. Away from that, we do some other. And this time, Ghana seeks investors for wind and tidal wave energy. Well, I've discussed this before somewhere. It's very expensive to put, and because you need some kind of wind, it can only be found somewhere. And how you need to even harness it, it's difficult, and so one must be very careful. Going to invest into this because
So
it's
would you
also very
rather we
expensive.
do solar?
Quite a number of, there could be because solar is, sun is there and all of that, but we can engage quite a number of people in this sector and then we get some
see how
further
that
and better
goes.
understanding as well. And so
That would
that's
be
by way
great.
of the investment into the wind and tidal wave energy.
Okay, John Junapor denies flying in a private jet to Nigeria at the expense of Ghanaian taxpayers. Well, should that even be...
Oh yes, it was a big thing. The ex-War government, of course, the president, we knew what he did in terms of how he chartered private jets, and so it was a big one. And so Ghanaians are very particular. Again, the opposition, you find the opposition also starting this conversation. That's why the false accusations of what jet the president was using, and then it came up that it was his brother's jet, which they themselves also used. So the New Patriotic Party also used it when they were in power. Some of them, of course, to former presidents' wives, Theresa's funeral and all of that. And so that's basic. And so we are very much aware that some of these things were used. And so as much as it comes up, we want to probe into it. So
okay, that's okay. More of the local news. Obuasi Clash. Military returned fire in self-defense. A soldier was injured. That came from the Ghana Armed Forces, explaining exactly what happened during that incident, saying it happened at 11 p.m. And even the things that the people had on them, it looked like it wasn't going to be legit. Why do you show up at your work site at 11 p.m.? If it was your...
So we'll talk about that
website.
later. Of course, I've also been thinking about this, and so we'll speak a bit more about this later.
Yeah, I've been thinking.
I've been thinking.
Okay, great.
Up, right? Well, let's now move to international news now, shall we? At least 70 die in explosion in Nigeria while collecting fuel from overturned tanker. Do you know that this weekend, a diesel tanker also overturned somewhere in Ghana? And quite a number of people were seen fetching the fuel.
What is the problem?
Exactly.
Why would you go and fetch something from something that is highly...
inflammable? But it's fine. It's all right. And so that's as part of the international news. Let's do some other stories, shall we?
Okay, Kenyan startup turning invasive plant into biodegradable packaging. Oh.
Don't even go into the specifics. Kenya is way ahead in terms of technology and e-innovation, if you like, electronic innovation. Look, these guys are off. like they are leading. As much as you are building Indians, you've seen India as a country that, of course, exports a lot of minds as far as e-commerce or whatever is concerned. Kenya in Africa is off the chain now.
Wow.
They are the people we need to look at. Yes, look up to. Yeah.
I see. That's a good example.
All righty. Some other news, international. Still in Kenya, a new contingent on Kenyan police officers arrive in Haiti. That's in some other news as well.
Yeah. Next, please. Ceasefire brings hope for Gazans and the families of Israel hostages. Yeah, so some people were let out.
Yeah, some 3 I saw. I don't know if they've been let out, but of course, yes. And that's what it is. The world must know peace.
They were crying about it.
It must know peace. And we need to continue to pray. That's what we Christians do. Continue to pray that the world come to the saving knowledge of Christ, most importantly. And that translates into some peace for the world. All righty. Okay. 4 Moroccan truck drivers disappear on Burkina Faso or Burkina Niger border. All right. There was a time a friend of mine wanted to transport some fuel from here to, I think, somewhere through Burkina Faso and all of that. Almost all the tank drivers here in Ghana refused to give their trucks, also because of these things, where the fear of kidnapping and also people taking hostage those drivers and all of that. So Africa as a whole needs to look at issues of, cross-border trade, vis-a-vis security and all of that. And so that's by way of local and international news.
Well, yeah, so we're going to get into the news review. Coco is going to be spearheading that conversation. We're going to be looking at some of these topics that we actually write out to you. So what you want to do is to get on our social media handles. You want to like, share, drop comments, and also share your mind on what's going to be happening. You're going to be having that discussion with who?
Absolutely. Our guest, Reverend Bafo Boni, will be joining us, of course. We'll try and see if we can also get in touch with Adam Senanu as well. But before then, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, there's more to come. Remember that we're launching the African Opportunities Initiative, the Thought Leadership Series today. Stay with us.
To make it a surprise.
Why?
I knew the dramatic appearance would excite everyone.
I've been looking for you for a very long time.
Why are you so intimidating?
But just complain that I'm fat.
But you are fat.
Here is my son.
Give me what I want and I will set you free.
Stop! Jesus has set me free. Yes, Lord.
Anita.
Barca's season is up and running. Save! Spain are the champions of the world!
Sports Break on Dominion TV. It's adventure after adventure after adventure. Get a load of your favorite Bible adventure series, Superbook. So, get on board. Let's join Chris, Joy, and Gizmo. It's Superbook time. Superbook, weekdays at 4:30 p.m. Also on Saturdays, 10:30 a.m. on Dominion TV.
Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. This is the news review segment on Wake Up Africa. It's on Dominion TV. Remember that we're live across 3 spaces, right? On YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook, My Dominion TV. You want to connect with us, leave a comment, your thoughts, your submission, questions. I'll be glad to share it with our guests and, of course, the rest of the world. Well, let's now get into the issues of news, and let's get some understanding from the perspective of our guests who are joining us on the news review segment, shall we? Dr. Piakubi is a development expert and, of course, a man of God who is also the dean of the Dominion Theological Seminary. He joins us once again. It's good to have you.
Good to have you, Kuku.
I hope your weekend was well and good.
Quite tiring, actually.
Quite tiring.
I was preaching in a different branch.
Okay.
And when there's a difference between fast food and cooked food.
Okay.
Cooked food, you take your time. And that is me, your church. You nurture them, you teach them.
Yes.
But when you get invitation at that place,
they've got it.
Yeah, you have to fire.
Oh, I know. But we're excited that you can come.
Yeah,
Thank
me
you
too,
very
me
much.
too.
We're also expecting other guests to join us. We're expecting Mr. Edem Senanu, who is an anti-graft campaigner, to also join us via phone. And as and when he does, we will definitely put him on. Of course, any other person who joins us will allow you into their world. But let's start off with you now, shall we? The very, very sad one has to do with the Obuasi Clash, where the military supposedly returned fire in self-defense. And that's particularly according to the statement that was put out there by the Ghana Armed Forces, just trying to see if we can put that. But of course, on Saturday, January 18th, a violent clash between small-scale miners and military personnel guarding the Anglo Gold Ashanti Obuasi mine left 7 people dead and saw the burning of vehicles in the confrontation in the Ashanti region. Well, the Ghana Armed Forces, in a press statement, revealed that the illegal miners, armed with locally manufactured rifles, pump-action guns, gas cylinders, knives, axes, machetes, and heavy-duty industrial bolt cutters, opened fire on the soldiers in response. The troops returned the fire in self-defense, right? And that's what they had to say. Quickly, before I pick the thoughts of Dr. Piakubi, this was a statement issued by the Department of the Public Relations, General Headquarters, Burma Camp, Accra, dated 19th January 2025. The heading is Illegal Miners Fire at Troops on Duty at Anglo Gold Ashanti Mines. On Saturday, 18th January 2025, at about 200 hours, that's 11 p.m., illegal miners numbering about 60 breached the Anglo Gold Ashanti mine security fence and intruded at Côte de Oramp. The aim of the illegal miners was to enter the deep decline of the mines. The military patrol deployed on Operation Halt. 2 duties at the mentioned location were fired upon by the illegal miners when the soldiers tried to stop them from accessing the deep decline. The illegal miners were wielding locally manufactured rifles, pump-action guns, gas cylinders, knives, heavy-duty industrial bolts, cutters, axes, and machetes. The troops returned fire in self-defense. The shootout led to the death of 7 illegal miners and 1 seriously injured. The remaining illegal miners bolted away. A soldier who was also hit by pellets from a pump-action gun and got injured has been treated. 6 pump-action BB cartridge were retrieved. The Ghana Armed Forces wishes to reiterate its caution to all and sundry that military personnel on authorized duty have the right to defend themselves, innocent civilians, and property, including the use of lethal force if necessary to preserve life. Ghana Armed Forces wishes to urge all illegal miners to stay away from mining concessions and also desist from engaging troops in shootouts, since the consequences of such actions could be fatal. And that's signed by Brigadier General, Director General, Public Relations, E. Agri Kwashi. And so that's a statement was copied. All media houses have been copied. And so let's turn our attentions now to what the thoughts are, especially as Dr. Apia Kubi is in the studios.
Yeah, I heard you first. Good morning and happy new week.
Happy new week indeed.
And to our very lovely watcher, what do you call it? Viewers
indeed.
all over Africa. I'm glad. I'm looking forward to hearing my very good brother Adam Senano.
Yes, we'll see whether we can hold him on.
If you can. I don't know if you know, Adam is my very, very, very good close. We talk practically every now and then.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
The day that, I'm one of those who wrote the bill.
The bills, yeah, you told me about it, right.
So the day that we were talking, we actually had a meeting that day.
With the president?
No, at a Catholic Bishop Conference
right.
Secretariat.
Okay, right.
To discuss certain things. And maybe because I mentioned it, just real quick, Nana Abafuboni, Rev, was a little bit concerned with regards to especially the conversion therapy. That I wanted to actually clarify something real quick because it is the hallmark of the entire Constitution.
Okay.
By the way, that which the Attorney General's office took it out.
Okay.
And so I remember I was in the former president's office when we told him that actually your people were the one who took the thing out. It was there. We have something we call holistic sexual therapy here in Ghana. It's an undisclosed place where we help homosexuals. One of the best blessings for LGBT people is for them to confuse you and I. That when they say LGBT, it's a man sleeping with man and women sleeping with women. It is absolutely big lie. Okay, it is just only 2 among 49 genders they believe. So the bill actually is trying to help our homosexuals here in Ghana and to fight against LGBT. And it's a topic for another day, by the way. Sure. And so the holistic sexual therapy, I am the first point of call that every single homosexual who is struggling, that want help, they come to me first. Okay. Bro, I have a lot of great people who are part. So maybe Nana could hear this one. That, for example, Dr. Kosi Ose, who is now professor, the whole Ghana psychiatric head, Professor Osafo, who is a Legon, the head of psychology. Some of them I cannot mention the best endocrinologists. Sometimes the pronunciation becomes a problem.
I see.
Okay, so all these people are there. Yes, yeah, so we should.
So I mean, we'll have some time and get into these issues where we'll gather all of you, Mr. Edemson, and of course your very good friend, Mr. Lawyer Fuamoini, also join us with you as well.
Yes.
Let's get into the show.
So in this one, I'm a little bit sad actually because of course I'm from Obuasi.
Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, I'm a dancing man.
Oh, I see.
So when I heard it, I felt really, really bad. Okay. And the president, I don't know if it's the president or the military, said they are going to help those who are injured and also to fund the burial of. I was glad, nevertheless. You've lost life.
Yes.
The burial, no matter how beautiful it is, can never bring the people back. And that is very, very certain. I couldn't blame so much the soldiers because, Koku, we were here when we heard about Dencho Obuasi. There's a difference between Obuasi, Dansi Obuasi, and Dencho Obuasi. They are not the same.
Okay, great.
Okay, I'm from Dansi Obuasi.
Okay.
Dencho Obuasi people were the one who killed the other guy before. I want to make it clear. You've not been killing people. At the worst scenario, you've been burning cars.
I hear you.
Okay, so of course,
right.
Some of these things can really hit the soldiers. Hey, if I don't take care, I can become like my brother. And what happened to him? After a while, we can't even hear from his family, his beautiful wife, and kids anymore.
Right.
So of course, you have to defend himself or they defend themselves. And so it's very, very sad thing. But this actually outlined a larger picture of the problem we have in Africa. Since this program actually caters for the entire Africa, you know what happened in South Africa?
Right.
Just recently, I think it's also last week or 2 weeks ago.
Miners where the miners lost their lives.
And so this Galamsey problem, I'm really praying and hoping that this government could be able to do something about it.
I see. Mr. Edem Senan also joins us via phone. Can you hear me, sir? Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
It's good to have you. How are you doing on a Monday morning like this?
Grace abounds.
Absolutely. Well, let's get straight into the discussion. Again, it has to do with Obuasi Clashes. What we heard was some call, whether or not it was a good call from a journalist on television or some, and these are supposed to be, as alleged, party faithfuls of the NDC. Have you also picked these intelligence? And what would you want to say about this particular one before we go into some other angles to the story?
Well, I don't have any intel. I have not picked any information. But anytime there are any such clashes, it is always unfortunate. In my mind, one needs to identify what could have caused it. Is this the one with the illegal miners involved?
Yes. We were trying to, if you like, access the mines.
Now, with regard to that, in my mind, I was wondering what would compel individuals at this time to attempt something like that in a dispensation where we are also concerned about small-scale mining and the impact it is having. It's quite a risky period to be trying things like that. So, at the back of my mind, I was wondering, and other places they could have gone, why would they attempt something like this? So I don't know. I have more questions than answers at this point. It's an unfortunate incident, and I'm hoping that it will all be unraveled as we go on.
Interesting. Before I come to Dr. Piakubi, the issue of illegal mining and the mess and the danger it poses to the environment, and we've heard quite a number of people being poisoned. As far as the waters are concerned, we know a larger chunk of our people they rely on these river bodies. Of course, on the screen, you can see what happened there. These are scenes, very sad scenes. And so for those of you who are watching, these are scenes from the Obuasi Clash. But coming back to the issue, we understand that some people, the health centers in these communities where illegal mining is happening are reporting of cases where people are being poisoned, deformities in births and all of that. The case where at some point people have called that if it gets to the worst case scenario, shoot at sight. Would you want to, be one of those who would want to support this call?
Absolutely not. I don't think that anything gets to the point where we have the right to take life. That would set a very dangerous precedent. I think that where there are concentrations of persons known to be involved in these activities, we should then deploy much more people in terms of the public education on one hand and in terms of the enforcement and sanctions on the other hand. I do not know that we have greatly increased the level of public education. For behavior change, we say you need a carrot and stick approach. You have what we call reward incentives, which is you let them know the benefits of doing the right thing, which include that you can go about your legitimate business without interference. But on the other hand, you must have the sanction incentives, which are that, look, but if you violate or breach the law, these are the actions that will be taken against you and your family, etc. And we need to do that very comprehensively and robustly in those spaces or localities, geographical areas where we have found that this is, increasing. And I don't know that we have done enough of that. We can't do one or the other. We need to do both. It needs to be systematic and well planned. And I think that we need to begin to wrap our minds around how we can get that done in those spaces and hopefully reduce drastically what is going on.
I'll return to you with this question as well, but the late Major Mahama's death comes to mind really as to also the case of deployment of the military. We understand what the mandate of the military is, the Ghana Armed Forces is to be able to protect our territory. What it means is that they will use any kind of force in doing so. The police is the one that manages some of these situations. And that's why they were moved from the police force to, the police service. The issue of deployment of the military to some of these places, I don't know. I've not studied security into this so much, but tell me about it.
Me too, but I think Ghana, we are so quick to just deploy soldiers. I mean, if you go to sometime even our police, you see a policeman sitting on a motorbike, the helmet, the body cam, you look so, I will call it hunhunios.
Okay.
Like and you become, it's like, what? Is it, I mean, even I don't see, you might not see that even in Sudan or the war zones.
Right.
So I think that sometimes we are too quick to deploy our soldiers.
Okay.
I really think that it's not a good idea because soldiers training is different from police training.
Right.
And for them, they will really come at you. And that's how their brain is wired. What can they do? And so I understand and agree with my brother Adam. The fact that human lives and all that, that is the reason why we shouldn't deploy our soldiers just way too quick. We should see to it that and actually if when we talk about our police, there are also a section of our police that are also equally strong.
Indeed.
Yet they are mild when it comes to retaliations and stuff like that.
Right.
So that is what actually I'm going to say, that we shouldn't be too quick to deploy our soldiers because they are trained for some of these things.
Right. Same question to you, Mr. Adam Senanu. Deployment of the military with the late Major Muhammad's story at the back of our minds here?
Well, I think that, we've had instances where we do, and I'm looking at this as, let's say, the best case scenario where you combine military with police, because then you have persons who have skill sets that complement each other. And in my mind, there may be some instances where you may want to deploy the military. That may be strategy. But in terms of the tactics on the ground at the operational level, you may already have mapped out that we're going to use rubber bullets. We're going to use, what do we call that smoke? The smoke that tear gas. Thank you. The tactics at the operational level are mapped out where is purely for containment of the situation and not for escalating the situation or losing lives. So a lot of thinking must go into that. So let me put it this way: it is safer not to have to deploy the military in people's zones because they are not trained with that skill set. However, there may be situations where things are getting out of hand and you want to do a combination of military and police because, the police understand how to deal with people and the military can deal with situations where, let's say, there's some external aggression or some armed groups. And so it is, in terms of the intelligence, it is justifiable because the persons who we are dealing with themselves may be armed or engaged in using violent means to do things, and you want to be sure that, look, the police are not overcome or something of that sort. So a joint force is possible. But under those circumstances, the tactics to be deployed, because you also have people there, need to be thought through carefully so that, as it were, you are preserving life, you are containing the situation and not escalating and aggravating the circumstances on the ground.
Interesting. Finally, on this issue, before I come back to Dr. Piakobi, the issue, there's been a communique issued by the presidency. In there are three things. One is that there must be some investigations launched into this immediately. Two, the funerals of the 7 people who lost their lives be catered for by Anglo Gold Ashanti, and then, of course, the injured also must be catered for by the same organization. Good call?
Well, yes, absolutely. I like the very prompt responses from the presidency on such matters. And I think that at least in terms of the follow-up actions that would kind of settle people, these are good ones, including the investigation to find out what exactly transpired.
Very, very good one there. This would excite both of you because, again, I've heard quite a number of you speak about it. And so the President, John Dramani Mahama, has established a constitutional review committee fulfilling his promise to advance the implementation of the constitutional review process. The committee includes very notable names: former chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Charlotte Osei, and chaired by also Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh. There are some names. Justice Sophia Dinyera is a member. Professor Kwame Kakari is a member. Dr. Godwin Jokoto, Ibrahim Tanko Amidu is a member. Dr. Isi Ansah, Dr. Reina Akumperi Gea is also a member. They've been tasked to do a lot of things. Is to first of all look at the work that was done in 2010, and of course the last one that was constituted by the ex-Swal government. Let me pick your initial thoughts on that, Dr. Apiaku.
Okay, first, when I saw the list, I was quite excited actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though I also have some misgivings. But
you do?
Oh, yes, yes.
Tell me about it.
I'll talk about the excitement part. First is you can see that, in fact, I put some things together.
Please do.
These guys are experts. And so I like the idea. I like the fact that actually they are committed to democratic governance. You know, I think Dr. Prempeh is from CDD, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. So I thought that. So also I could see diversity and experience from that one. Where my struggle a little bit first is that I'm thinking, you know, it is time that when we are doing some of these things, remember we should put some religious leaders who also know constitution to be part, because it's not just intelligence. Okay, so sometimes we say, oh, Ghana, we are a secular country. It's one of the biggest lie. Ghana is not a secular country.
On the papers. On paper.
Even on the paper, it's wrong ab initio, because we start in our constitution, the constitution shows clearly that we are not. In God, we start from everything. Secular means that we are a religious country. We are not Christian country, we are not Muslim country, we are not traditional, but we are religious people.
Okay.
You see, and so I thought maybe a certain Christian, a certain Muslim, a certain traditionalist who actually also equally good like them be part, so that we can put, because sometimes we the academics, sometimes we think too much about books. Unfortunately, our books are almost always outside the country.
Okay.
You see how the whole thing is. So that's where my struggle is.
Very interesting thoughts. And I'm sorry I have to go to Mr. Dempsey on this one. Mr. Senna, look, the issue of composition.
They should have added him.
Yes, of course, comes up. Then again is that, so put all of them together. Some say 5 months is too much, so they can do that because these are people who have raised concerns about the constitutions already. They've done that, but we can give it to them. The other case is also, just as he's saying, Dr. Apiakubi is saying, there are some people there who were against your call for the proper values bill. Was there not? I want to go into that angle, but talk to me about the composition first and the move by the president.
Well, first of all, thumbs up that the issue of the Constitution is still on the front burner. There are many of us who are clear in our minds that quite a number of things will need to change if we're going to get better results from our democratic experience. So it's good to have the issue of reviewing the Constitution on the burner. But like you pointed out, I definitely had a few misgivings because of some of the persons, and I'm not going to name names, but yes, I had some concerns because of positions they have taken on some issues in the past, and I'm hoping that that will not be brought to influence this process at all. Remember that this is the third committee and counting, because just before the transition, the second committee chaired by, I've forgotten her name, handed over their report to His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. I don't know if you remember
Madam Clara Kasati chaired that particular one.
Thank you. That's a T. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, we are repeating this perhaps once too often. I'm hoping that the process they've mapped out is not just going to replicate things, and that at the end of the day, we are not going to just have another talk shop. The document is done, and we're not able to get into action. So those are my initial thoughts. It's important that we look at the Constitution. One, the composition of the board of the committee had one or two concerns, but ultimately, let's not repeat what we've already done. If you're going to enhance it, that's excellent. I noticed you asked about the timing. To be honest, I mean, for somebody who does, I do consultancy. Things like this, 5 months can run away in a very brief moment. I'm not quite sure whether the 5 months was even being realistic. So in my head, I'm wondering, what did they map out to do? Are they just going to look at what others have done, or are they going to do some engagements to validate what is available? And I would really have thought that some validation, some stakeholder validation.
Oh, yes. They have been tasked to engage key stakeholders to solicit their views on the proposals for the amendment of that particular one. So that I know about.
So the stakeholder validation is a thumbs up. And if that is well done, then at the end of the day, it is not just the committee's views that are taken. And let me just chip in one. My brother, also for Dr. Apiakubi, my take is that Ghana is a majority Christian state, 71.8%. So I also disagree with the secular. We are a majority Christian state.
I know. Well, that's it. And so the committee is expected to identify and address the gaps and the challenges with the implementation of the previous constitutional review work done by the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission and the 2023 Constitution Review Consultative Committee. I just want to pick your thoughts quickly. If that will not be putting you on the spot, what would you love to see? 1, 2 things that you love to see change in the Constitution. Do you have that readily on your mind, Mr. Edemson? And while I give Dr. Apiakubi time to think about that.
Well, I mean, a number of things. One, we need to put the long-term planning right there in the Constitution. That whichever political party will come into place must follow the long-term plan to be done by the National Development Planning Commission. Because that is absent in the Constitution. We've had governments come and use their manifestos. And by and large, their manifestos are full of wish lists. And so we get ourselves into terrain that is very difficult for execution. That's one. Secondly, the issue of the appointment of a majority of ministers from Parliament undermines the supervisory role of Parliament over the executive. And therefore, we get to a situation where what the executive says is what happens, and the checks and balances are not as effective. That should change. Again, to have the situation where we have an executive presidency that appoints every, I don't want to say Tom, Dick, and Harry, as far as leadership is concerned, means that people, as it were, have a certain indirect commitment to the executive or to the leader of the day, irrespective of whichever place they are appointed to. And that also undermines the checks and balances. So we ought to reduce the level of appointments that the executive president can do and ensure that meritocracy and competency allows people to go through the public service, rise to the top, and that institutional experience is brought to bear in leading processes. Again, I would like to see things related to elections. Let's have an election season, which should just be, let's say, the last 6 months of that election year. Because what has been happening is after the first 2 years of a presidency, the next 2 years is spent in perpetual election activities, and the amount of money we spend makes it, very incongruous, So we should have an election period outside which people should not be campaigning. We should have something on political party financing, something very concrete that begins to make sure that there's transparency on funding, who is financing, and so people don't take advantage of the system. I think these are some of the substantive things that I would love to see in a revamped constitution that should be able to move us forward.
Very interesting. It's worthy to note that in the 2010 Constitution Review Commission's work, it was said, and I think it was some popular request by Ghanaians, that that particular plan you talked about be fused into the constitution, that every leader will be guided by that. But that's the only cardinal sin that I feel Professor Mills committed. In his white paper, when he was issuing it, he stated that no, that must not happen. And that's why we're here today.
Yeah, Kofi, I wanted to actually add also something small to what Efredem was saying.
Right.
Just some things were coming to my thoughts, and also just checking popularly what people will be thinking. You know,
Right.
there was a time that these guys went out, I think, not let my vote come. There was some, I forgot the name, they went out and they were fighting that we should actually do something about our constitution. And one of the things were very much, I'll come to this, and I hope I will not forget, about decentralization.
Okay.
That, you know, though we think that Ghana, we are really decentralized our stuff, but not necessarily. Still, everything's still here in Accra. Everything have to come to Accra. Everything have to come to Accra. So I think that one, we need to do that. If I then mention about electoral reforms,
yes.
I really think that we need to do something more about that. Maybe, I'm not sure if we have to give a little bit more power for the team that they they start with N. I forget even the name.
Okay.
People coming to my head. Yeah, that one. That they meet, all the political parties meet together. I think this.
The advisory committee.
Yeah, you know, sometimes the EC will meet all the electoral.
IPAC.
Thank you, IPAC. I said it.
Right.
IPAC.
More power to the electoral commissioner or IPAC?
To the IPAC.
Okay. Because for now they are just advisory.
Yeah. I mean, and sometime this. Okay, then of course, I also want to see something on judicial reforms.
How?
Okay, I was just sick to my bone when President Akufo-Addo added more Supreme Court judges.
So the capping of it.
We have to do something about
Okay.
it. Florida only is bigger than the whole country. America is a huge country. How many Supreme Court judges? 9. How many Ghana we have? Why we like just dashing posts like that? You see, so I thought that something must be done.
All right.
I hope that we will put something in our constitution that there will never be a time Ghana will have Ministry of what do you call this? Intelligence or something. They were having something like that. That actually President Mahama came and I think he scrapped it off.
Okay.
That it will never happen again. That whereby there's a ministry whereby we have Ministry of Defense, then we have another Ministry of National Intelligence or something.
Okay.
Then that one I'm praying that it will never.
National security.
Yeah.
Okay.
National security.
Ministry.
I'm hoping that it will never happen. I think that's for me.
Okay. Absolutely. Mr. Adam said on this particular one, the issue of decentralization, you see, we are probably always quick to say that let's conduct elections at the district level. But you see, the conflict there where people still go and put money into it, and now the people who have also been elected, assembly members I'm talking about, who have been elected, will then not be so much conflict. You vote for the DCE and you vote for the assembly members, and now everybody feels powerful. Talk to me about that particular one.
It is appropriate to vote at that level because the relationship between the MMDCEs, whether metropolitan, municipal, or district chief executives, and the people, said that their allegiance is to the development of the locality, much more to a political party, and therefore, again, it will be of a partisan interest, and then they'll be looking at contracts and procurement that inures to the benefit of certain people within the party or family and friends, can be avoided when these people are voted for from that local level. And so they have a stronger understanding of the people and are more passionate about delivering on the vision, on the interest of the persons there. I think it's a good thing to elect. What many of us, and by the way, at heart I'm a development practitioner, Look, my years of running around Ghana tell me that our people don't need a partisan electoral system at the local level. Some of my colleagues in civil society have been pushing that agenda, but those of us who've been in communities and seen how the camaraderie, the relationships are still very strong, and communities and their leadership can meet at community meetings and by and large arrive at conclusions just purely on the value of the benefit it brings the community rather than on a political party interest. We would love to see that maintained, and the people themselves too. So I think it is good. The challenge we have had is that, again, maybe this is one of the places where the Constitution can help. We've had governments that have re-centralized so that the percentages that should go down to district levels, rather they're asking the districts to bring the money back. It's like parks and gardens. A year or two ago, I went there. The place was crumbling, and I was asking that, can't you guys fix it? And they said, no, we are not allowed to use a penny of any money that comes in. It goes into a central account, and it's only when government decides that we are giving a small amount to. And so the place was collapsing. And so there's been re-centralization. And that's what we need to say. This must stop. Decentralization has been espoused by the Constitution. Let's follow it. And political groups that just want to have all the money at the center should stop undermining these things that we have put in place to benefit democracy in our country.
So it's not just perhaps the issue of appointing very incompetent people to the place. That's why probably you have seen less of the development as much as you have expected. Is not?
No, it is not. It is also because at the center, people are doing things. I mean, there was a time where I had to be doing some work with the District Assembly Common Fund. And I realized how some persons were trying to influence the formulas so that certain monies would get into certain spaces where they can get contracts. I mean, there are things that happen in this country that ought not to be happening. So clearly, it is not just about the competencies of the people. But beyond that, it's also my recognition that we have failed in terms of governance to properly establish permanent platforms for engagement for citizens with local assemblies and other key departments and units of state. If you go to the West, the UK, town hall meetings, regular, monthly, quarterly town hall meetings between the local leaders and their people is a standard. In that meeting, a citizen on a particular street can come and question the local development planner or whatever about why you don't have a gutter here, or the maintenance officer on why the street light on a particular street has been off for the last 6 weeks and not been replaced. And that person's job is on the line. Even though in Article 35(6)(b) it is categorical that we are to provide those opportunities for citizens to influence decision-making at all levels of government. And so this is an obligation of the state that has not been materialized, that has not been executed. We don't seem to understand that the permanent platform, so that everybody knows that once a quarter we meet to review what is happening in our locality. We have the right to ask questions. We have the right to question how the funds were utilized, which then makes a certain stronger relationship between the citizen in the locality and the municipality, and for which reason they will continue to pay their taxes because they know they can demand accountability and results. That we have not yet achieved, and it's a weak part of our democratic dispensation experience, which we need to work at. Otherwise, we cannot expect to have the dividends that other jurisdictions are experiencing.
Well, that's succinctly put. Let me pick your thoughts, final words on any of the issues.
I think I'm still going to go back to the constitution of those guys who are going to do the constitutional review.
Yes.
Brother Adam said that he couldn't mention names. And so we keep it there. But at least for the chairman in particular, Professor Prempe had been very strong with advocating for LGBT thing, and now that they want to put a thing to the presidency and all that. Before, when they were doing the constitutional review, during Atamil's time,
yes,
actually what happened was that we were reliably informed that the just very small one we have it there with regards to unnatural carnal knowledge, they wanted to remove it. So lawyer for morning and some of us had to rush rec and say no guys, you can't do anything about it. Okay, remember recently somebody also took it to the Supreme Court, and our own church member who actually chaired the thing, Kulindi, just threw it away. So I'm kind of afraid again. Though we were just going to really put their feet on in fire, but I'm still kind of afraid. So I'm praying and hoping that they will do a good job for us, because Constitution, as Gracia, they have to do something about it.
Indeed. Quite a number of things on the front burner that the committee will be looking at. We cannot wait, and we are most importantly also waiting for the key stakeholders that they must solicit their views on this particular one. It does not have to be selective. As much as possible, they even have to hold, if you like, consultative meetings where people come in, public forum, where people come in to share their views. And so we'll be keeping tabs on all of them. Once again, Professor H. Kwesi Prempe, Chairman Justice Sophia Dinyinara, Professor Kwame Kakari, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, Dr. Gordon Jokoto, Ibrahim Tanko Amidu, Dr. Isi Ansah, and of course Dr. Arena Akumperiga are the members of this particular Constitutional Review Commission. I want to say a very big thank you to you, Dr. Apiakubi, of course, to you, Mr. Adam Senanu. Let's make a date tomorrow once again on this particular one. Well, it's been a wonderful time. I'm sure you've gotten clarity into some of these issues. Make sure that you always stay informed with us here on Wake Up Africa. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, my monologue is up. I've been thinking. I'll see you soon.
I want to welcome you to Wake Up Africa Morning Show. If Africa has ever needed to wake up, it's now. I promise you that this Wake Up Africa Morning Show will impact your life. It will illuminate you. The Bible said that thy word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. You need this insight. You need the understanding required to make all the difference in all of our lives. I want you not just to tune in to the Wake Up Africa Morning Show, but I want you to be a sponsor. I want you to partner with us as we take this Wake Up Africa Morning Show, the inspiration it brings, the impact across all Africa, to homes, to individuals, impacting lives. Join us to make a difference. It is said and believed that in this life, what you do to change the life of others matters than what you acquire for yourself. It is believed that it's not what you have, what you possess that matters, but the difference you made in the life of others. I believe as you partner with Wake Up Africa Morning Show, you'll be joining us to make a difference in the life of so many people out there. Partner with us, and every time we touch a life, you are blessed. Every time we impact a family, you'll be remembered for good. God bless you. Looking forward to partnering with you and tuning in to Wake Up Africa morning show.
In times of change, when the world seems uncertain and what we hear doesn't reflect what we see, we seek the truth. When we are told only part of the story, we lose trust. In moments of crisis, our dreams, hopes, and wishes for a better tomorrow depends on a free press. At Voice of America, we bring you the stories that people take risks to see. We connect the world and unite it with truth. At Voice of America, we show you the whole picture.
Africa 54, in partnership with Voice of America, weekdays 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Dominion TV.
Well, I've been thinking, and welcome to that part of the show where I get to share with you what's on my mind and what I want to share with you, and how I feel that it's a clarion call, as always, to get all of you onto the bandwagon, because we are in this together. So welcome to I've Been Thinking. My name is Kokulimo. It's a place where I get a lot of license to talk about the things that are on my mind. One of the things that I've been thinking about, not too recent, but of course in the past, is how we can, as citizens, hold our leaders accountable. How we can, as citizens, hold our leaders accountable. So for us, and for it to resonate with anyone, even on the African continent, how about I use it, no grief for anybody. This is why I say this. There are times where probably you have gone out there to campaign for your man, your woman, your uncle, your father's friend, your sister's friend, your distant auntie, uncle, to become an MP, a DCE, president, and now they've become ministers. There's a temptation to say that, well, because the person is my relative, I do not want to make his government unpopular. So let's keep quiet. Even if the ground is burning, the bushes are burning, our house is burning, we keep quiet because we do not want to make the government unpopular. I want us to begin to rethink, relearn, and learn that attitude and move towards it. And this is why I say so. Look, the only thing you have, sometimes you might not have anything, any help from them. They might not help you in any way to get job and all of that. The only way you have to help them succeed as far as their position or governance is concerned is when you lead protests, demonstrations, and you later call them and say, you know, uncle, auntie, daddy, it is good that we went out there to vote for you. But this is what our citizens need, to live in a very good environment where your duty, your mandate is to make it conducive enough. So from today onwards, I want us to gather around and agree that we are going to hold these people accountable, no matter how you are affiliated with them. Just gone past, I saw some of my friends, some people who were well educated. We did degrees together, we did masters together. In the classroom, they are quite vociferous. They are loud on issues of governance, holding people accountable. But immediately their government came into power, they just became very, 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 very thoughtless people. People who do not use their upper region anymore. And excuse me to say that. You find your friends who are on social media agreeing to anything, no matter how it is, no matter how wrong it is, as far as it comes from their government, their district chief executive, their MP, their president, their vice president, they will agree to it. Did you hear the former NLA boss talk about the betting tax being counterproductive to his work? The question is, why was he not able to speak? This is the reason why I'm saying this. Is to say that whatever it is, as much as it comes from my person, let's keep quiet. Please, this year, from now onwards, no matter who comes onto the reins of power or ascends the high office, let's begin to hold them accountable. There are places where you find excuses always from service providers. The Ghana Water Company Limited, the Electricity Company Limited of Ghana. I mean, you find them giving excuse all the time. Water rationing, power rationing. The question is, are you saying that there cannot be silent protests? Walk into the offices to ask questions. Is it because you know the boss there is your uncle, or you feel that it will make the government unpopular? I am saying that. I am making a clarion call to everyone. It has to change from now onwards. Move to them if you have to. Go to the police. Seek for orders to want to protest or demonstrate. Let's begin to do so in the rights that we have within the ambit of the law, because you will be helping them govern better, so that probably when they come to the people to gain mandate again, they will be giving, rather than sitting down and saying that I do not want to make my government unpopular. Please go out there, protest if you may, demonstrate if you can, speak largely against ill and wrongdoing if you can, and make sure that your voice is heard each time that there is wrongdoing, and make sure also you move away from the issues of, oh, I don't want to make my people unpopular, because at the end of the day, if there is power rationing, if there are deaths such as what we saw at Obuasi, and we do not speak up against probably the things that the Ghana Armed Forces are doing, or the people themselves are doing, because probably it comes from a certain party, will continue to lose a lot of lives, will continue to get a lot of bad governance from people who probably, you know, some of them, I have always said that you did better than in class, in the classroom. Some of the people who are currently leading were some of our friends who were in the classrooms with us, and we know how they are. So why is it that it is difficult for you to speak to them to do the right thing? Today, on I Have Been Thinking, I'm making the clarion call. Make sure that you speak truth to power, and make sure you protest, demonstrate in the ambit of the law, and let's get good governance for our country. My name is Kokulubo, and this is I Have Been Thinking. Thank you for watching.
More than my mind can comprehend. See, I sing the wonders of your grace. I'm so sure this is not the end. See how far you brought me. I'm so glad you found me worthy. I can see, I can tell, and I know it's your grace. All my days I will sing your praise. See how far you brought me. I'm so glad you found me worthy. I can see, I can tell, and I know it's your grace. and no one else but you. Lord, I'm here. I'm only by your grace. Thank you, Jesus. For not giving up on me. See how far you brought me. I'm so glad you found worthy, Lord. I can see, I can tell, and I know it's your grace.
It's just by the perfect grace of God that we're still alive. It's still the most watched morning show right here on Dominion TV. Wake Up Africa. It's time for Tech and Trends, or Trends in Tech. It's a T&T affair, however you turn it. And I have my girl, Sia Hennig.
Hi, Biadala. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm great and fabulous. How about you?
I'm good. I mean, like, the Monday energy is on another level today. I don't know if for you, but when I was growing up, I remember Mondays were not my favorite days. Especially in the morning.
You don't like
the mass mentals, the English dictations.
I know, right?
But
the thing about Wake Up Africa is that we wake you up out of all of that and bring you the fun.
Definitely. You're preaching, sister.
Okay, so what's up for this week or today?
Oh, we have a lot in store. So hey, lovely viewers. It's your girl C Ahine. And on today's segment, we'll be looking at events that happened over the weekend and upcoming events for this week. So moving on, we want to dive into on Saturday. The Cry Africa Reset that was live on at Cape Coast Stadium, where we had gospel musicians, gospel artists coming around to be a blessing to Africa. So they had the opportunity to pray for Africa. They prayed, they ministered. We had Apostle Michael Ropo from Nigeria, and you know him. Whenever he takes the stage, he can't start without a chant. And he just went with the hey ya, and you should come and see our people. I mean, it was massive and it was epic. We had Joe Metal coming in with his own vibe. Wow. Snatch was also around with we are a chosen generation. And oh God, we're rocking it. I thought you would even be there.
Well, you know, normally for weekends, I'm so fired up and so needed in church. But I watched bits of it, and it was really great. I saw a video of Sinach and all that.
So we have the highlights here. Let's take a look at it.
'Cause there's a hunger and a thirst. I am desperate. Immerse me. I'm not waiting, not anymore. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. I feel it.
I see.
Yeah, wow, it was massive there. It was massive there. Moving on to the next story. So there's a woman that almost the entire Global Ladies and Women Fellowship really love. She goes by the name Funke Felix Adejumo. Oh God, I remember my favorite quote from her was, she said, "Love is blind, but marriage is the eye opener."
Yeah.
Oh my God. When she just dropped that verse, I was like, oh, are you serious? Is your eyes open now?
Well, my eyes were open, honey, before I said I do. Because ain't nobody gonna go into marriage blind.
Yes, so over the weekend, she was ordained as a bishop at the Agape Christian Ministries. Let's take a look at the video and what she had to say.
With my husband, and when I'm dealing with a man of God, my man of God, so I don't joke with some things in his life. He's been consecrated a bishop 25 years ago. So I was wondering why would he just stood up. Some of the ladies were there. Yes, remember. He just stood up and placed it on my neck. And I was wondering, what's this? So I finished ministering and he came up stage and announced that the Lord told him to make me a bishop. As I sat there, all of you saw what happened. I wasn't crying, I was wailing. I don't want. Now I want. Now I want. I want it with my life. I want it with my heart, because it's a bigger platform for me to serve Jesus. And today, I'm standing side by side with a man that is secure enough. 2 days ago, Mama Deboye called and said, "Funke, give phone from Baba Dejumo. Just give the phone."
Wow. The other, like, can we talk about how funny Nigerians are? I mean, she will be saying something serious, but you just burst out laughing. It's so funny.
I know, right? I think it's an African thing. God knew how probably things are going to be turning out, and He has His intricate ways of just making us laugh about stuff that goes around.
Yeah.
Look, sometimes you just have to laugh about stuff, even if it's that serious. Yeah, that's a gift that we have. But I'm really excited about the fact that women are taking the torch and they're going. These are the Esthers, the Deborahs, and all the people that we need, the Marys, the Lydias. So if you're a woman and you're watching, why not? Go ahead and serve Jesus on whatever platform that the Lord gives you. I'm inspired.
Yes, so congratulations, Bishop Funke Felix Adejumo. We really are happy for you, and we pray for greater heights. Moving on to the next story. So this is the day we have all been waiting for, the day for the presidential inaugural prayer breakfast, where our own Pastor Nathaniel Bassey will be leading praises and worship in Washington, D.C. Hallelujah. I thought you said you'd be there.
Well, yeah, I'm there in spirit. Hallelujah.
I feel you, sister. I feel you. So he posted a video yesterday at 1 p.m. on Instagram where he showed the streets of Washington, D.C. and he captioned it, "Blessed is he that comes in the name of the Lord, D.C." Oh God, I mean, everybody was so hyped, so excited. I feel the entire African continent is rooting for him. We are all with him in prayers. Before that, there was a conversation with the hostess of the prayer breakfast. She goes by the name Reverend Mary Turner. Let's take a look at this video.
7 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern at the Waldorf Astoria Presidential Ballroom. Hey, explain to me how it's 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. How could a breakfast be 6 hours long? What's the story behind that?
Well, the doors open at 6 a.m. for seating and 5 a.m. on the 12th Street side of the hotel. There'll be Secret Service. That'll be the safest building in all of Washington that day, with FBI staying here. We're on the parade route. We're on the presidential motorcade route. And so we seat about between 6 and 7, and then we're excited that some of your colleagues are going to be with us, Ben Buckram and Steve Bannon. They're going to be leading some prayer for the nation. We're going to be having special praise and worship with Nathaniel Bassey from Nigeria. He's a pastor and a well-known trumpet player and world-renowned. And we're going to minister to the Lord. And then we're going to have breakfast around 8:30 to 9:30, a beautiful seated formal breakfast plated. And I won't tell you what's on the menu yet, but if you come, you'll find out. And then we've got 35.
So that's it. Pastor Nathaniel Bassey will be leading the praises and worship at the inaugural prayer breakfast. We are excited.
Yes.
We wish him all the best. All the best.
For people like that, you don't wish them all the best. Just allow them, because they already carry the glory. Imagine they sing Yahweh Sabaoth. Ooh, Lord, the world's going to see the glory of God. Yeah. What's next?
So let's look at events that will be happening this week. First off, we are starting with the Festival of Praise at Manchester. Yes, that's happening on the Thursday, 23rd of January. The time is at 5 p.m. And we'll be having the likes of Emoji from Ghana. Yes. Pastor Nathaniel Bassi, will be having Mercy Chinwo, and a host and tons of great gospel musicians will be there. And if you know this song, Give Me Space, so I want to praise my God. Oh God, he also be there. He'll be shaking the whole place.
Oh,
so
amazing.
Manchester, just get ready because we have great musicians that will be there on the Thursday, 23rd of January. We also have the Outpouring UK with Don't Sing Oyenka, and we have Theophilus Sunday also being there. That's on the 24th of January. The time is at 4 p.m. We know the outpouring has never been so easy. It's always an outpouring, so we should be expecting more. To the next one, we have the worship marathon. That's a 6-hour worship, non-stop worship. And we have the likes of Pastor Eugene Zuta, we have Christiana Tafua, we have Nana Kwantima. I mean, that's going to be on the 25th. So guys, you should be ready for a host and tons of more and a lot more in store for us.
Amazing. Wait for worship. Worship is a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Nice.
And before I sign out, we have some special people that are celebrating their birthday today. And we want to wish them a happy birthday. We say God richly bless you and may everything you do be blessed. Amen. So first off, we have from Mr. Kwachi. He says, even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he who will sustain you. Happy birthday, sweet wife, Mrs. Rita Nana Ekia Inshura Oyina. Wow. Happy birthday, Mrs. Rita Nana Ekia Inshura Oyina, from your lovely husband. He's wishing you all the best in your birthday. Also, we are wishing Josephine Ajua, CEO of Amber Locks. She does my hair.
Oh,
she does my hair.
Okay.
Her hair, she's so beautiful. God bless you so much, Josephine. We wish you all the best. And we should keep on sending your birthday. If you have anyone who is celebrating their birthday, send us the picture, send us the details. We'll do so to wish them on Wake Up Africa for you. That is what I have for you, Biadela. It's so unfortunate. I don't want to leave you. But be on standby because Wednesday I'm coming back with a lot more bars, as you know.
I can't wait, actually. Yeah. And thank you so much, Sia Hene. So you know what time it is, you know the programs that are coming up, and you know how to go about it. It's about God. It's about gathering of the saints. Yeah. But now it's going to be a great moment in a few minutes because Coco is going to be having one of the greatest conversations of our time. Here in Africa, there is a dream and there is a future. Do you know that dream? And do you know how we can actually get to that future? There are Africans all over the place with great intellectual properties that are used in other areas to develop other places. How can we make that and use that to develop Africa, make it great again? That's a conversation you don't want to miss. So you want to get on our social media handles, you want to drop comments, you want to like, you want to share, you want to spread the news. Up next is a conversation with Koku. We'll be back.
Welcome to the conversation on the 4th of June, 1962. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, Sergeant for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, delivered a speech. As part of that speech, these were some of the things he said, and I want us to start a conversation on that particular one. And I quote, and it's part of a very lengthy speech that he gave that day. For today, we must each see ourselves as part of Africa in order that we may face colonialist imperialism and its new form, neocolonialism on a continent-wide front. When the first All-African Peoples Conference met in Accra in December 1951, I pointed out that our deliberations must be conducted in accord and our resolutions must flow out of unity. For unity must be the keynote of our actions. Our enemies are many. They stand ready to pounce upon us and exploit our every weakness. They tell us that this particular person or that particular country has greater or more favorable potentialities than the other. Well, it is on this backdrop that we have started what we call the African Opportunities Initiative, the Thought Leadership Series. From today, we will begin to engage thought leaders across the world, ones that will provide some leadership, especially where the African youth must begin to see opportunities where they feel they cannot see. On the African continent, it's been said that we have quite a number of opportunities, but it's only for people who can see that. Today, we're joined by 4 individuals across the world, and we're excited that they can join us today. They're joining us via Zoom virtual because they cannot be in the studio because of the distance. First off is Charles Kaiser, communications consultant for the United Nations Environment Program, who is also an entrepreneur who joins us. There's also Menensia Munjo. She's Chief of News Programs at the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, NBC. There's a broadcaster and author all the way from Las Vegas, Kidi Avadu, joining us. Last but definitely not least, Samuel Yao Apia Mafo, a senior lecturer of Department of Public Management and International Relations at the Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, GIMPA. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning to you, depending on where you are, and thanks for joining us here on the morning show, Wake Up Africa.
Good morning.
Good morning. Indeed.
Pleasure to be with you, Coco. Good morning.
Absolutely. All of you are looking good, and I cannot wait to get into this conversation today with all of you. Let me start off with you, Mr. Kidi Avadu, lead us into what has happened, the devastating and the scourge of the fires that swept around LA. I understand you were there, and some of your family and friends are also there. What is the extent of the devastation, and what caused this, and what can we know as of today?
The problems with global warming become localized in many different parts of the country, many different parts of the world, depending on really the background. For a decade or more so, southwestern United States has undergone a historic drought and historical rise in temperatures, and this has combined with other phenomena. So about 2 years ago, a new phenomena started appearing, what they called atmospheric rivers. And with atmospheric rivers, huge amounts of water were evaporating from the ocean, caught in the upper atmosphere and drifted over land, dumping huge amounts of water. Now, insofar as drought relief, this was most welcome. But what it did do is trigger a lot of growth of plant materials. Then the drought follows that. So what we're witnessing right now was a combination of that atmospheric river, tremendous amount of vegetation growth, then followed by drought conditions which dried all that new vegetation out. And that has now combined with this seasonal event called Santa Ana winds, which are like harmattan coming off of the ocean and off of the desert. They can come either way. And these winds have caught fire and sparked, and it's just absolutely devastating. They have not been able to get a control of this.
Wow. very, 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 very sad happenings, occurrences there. Let me take 1 minute of each of your time, and I'll start off with Charles Kaiser. I want you to tell me shortly about you in about 1 minute and your interest areas as far as the discussion is concerned, and that will help us also tailor our questions and so get some better understanding into the issues of today. So let me start off with you, Madam Charles Kaiser.
Okay, well, in terms of this program, I have a background in communications and international development. I currently work as a communications consultant for the United Nations Environment Program. So, of course, I'm hugely interested in the fires because there are parties that say caused by global warming, as much as people don't want to, say it or believe it. And then in Ghana, as you know, I love Ghana. I would live there, and I was the communication consultant for two regional programs focused in West Africa, including those focused on the environment. Personally, I am a communications consultant and also a speaker on women's empowerment. And as far as business-wise, I had one of Ghana's first businesses geared in hospitality that was a bed and breakfast, workspace, office space, and other spaces geared towards helping African Americans from the diaspora transfer and just get better acclimated into Ghana. And so Pan-Africanism and women's empowerment, basically.
Okay. That's interesting. How about you, all the way from Namibia, Meninsa Munjo? Tell me about you and shortly how you're connected to helping us understand this particular topic.
Okay, I'm the Chief of News and Programs. That's television, radio services. We have 11 of them, and digital platforms. I usually coordinate. We have a central point where we communicate to the nation just to ensure that the message that goes out is the same, but in different formats. My interest for this topic is I'm interested to hear how we prepare the African nation, especially the young ones from 0 to 35 years, because we understand that 60% plus of Africans are young people. Now, for us broadcasters, these are the audience. So we're not only thinking about empowering them in terms of the labor market, education, and health. What about communication so that we inform them accurately? Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I'm glad I have with you and Charles Kaiser as well. How about I go to Mr. Samuel Apiamafo as well, who is with GIMPA here in Ghana. Share with me.
I think pretty much you know me. I've seen you a couple of times, and so it's quite good that we are talking. My area is in public management and international relations.
Right.
So largely in the issue for the youth. We are more interested in trying to understand most of what the dynamics that is being played. Why is Africa the way it is today? And what can we do to lift ourselves out from the quagmires of lack and depression and many other things, that anything that is happening out there. Sometimes I'm tempted to make certain statements, but for now I think I will hold my fire. But in any case, let me just say this. The reasons that has happened where African governments cannot, lift up or live up to the expectations when they are in office. They make all the noise, and yet when they come to office, the same cyclical nature continues. Of course, most of the things that Chase and Manisia and Wudu have talked about, I'm quite also very interested in some of them and to hear their views with regard to most of the things that we're going to share. So largely, I'm for.
Absolutely. We're ready for that. Now, let me go to Mr. Kidiavad. While you tell us about this, you have written, and I know you also, of course, I know all of you, but with you, you've written quite extensively on the continent of Africa, about more than 50 books on Africa, various sectors. Let's start off with, of course, your introduction on your interest areas. And because today's discussion has to do largely with how to seek and explore opportunities on the African continent, what are the most promising sectors on the African continent, and how can we explore them? You can add that to your introduction. Let's start off, let's set the tone from that point.
Wonderful. Thank you for the invitation today. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Kofi Lamore. You're such a brilliant and inspiring young man. You inspire me to want to be more young and brilliant as well. I have an extensive background in mass communications. As I was saying to our fellow panel members, I've been in broadcast now. This is the commencement of the 23rd year of webcast broadcasting, which puts me as the grand old man in the world of African-centered broadcasting. And it's an honor and a pleasure to serve such a noble and great people with such an important mission. I am, as you mentioned, the author of a number of books. I'm actually working on multiple books almost at any given time. So I have, I think, number 56 and 57 have just entered the pipeline. I have now published 54 books. The 55th one will come out February 1st. And the conversation for me sparks with this idea that I really just kind of discovered for my own personal benefit around 2015 called Africa Rising. And this theme of Africa Rising combined a number of different factors: sustainable GDP growth, Africa's, of course, immense resources coming increasingly under control of our own responsible governance. Demographic dividend was a very key component of this phenomena. And I have been promoting and writing about this phenomena of Africa Rising now for, this will be my beginning of the 11th year. But here's the thing. Africa Rising is a powerful, inspiring narrative, but it had its limitations. At this particular point, I have committed, and we're assembling a group of people to transform this narrative we call Africa Rising to the next stage called the African Future. Now, the African future, from my particular point, is an assembly of the intelligentsia from across the global diaspora that can now usher in the strategic programs. The panel you have today is a perfect example of our vision of the African future. So I have a book will be coming out early in this next series of books coming out by summer. The book is entitled The African Future, and it is all about strategic organizing. And the last point I'll make on this upcoming series and this upcoming book, the timing of this book is very critical right now as we see massive changes and transformation in global hegemony, global leadership, world leadership. Africa is moving away from the orbit that has it only being natural resource supplies for other developed countries. Africa now is moving fully into servicing its own needs. So that brings us to why this brilliant group of people have been assembled today. A couple of key themes that are going to be discussed, and I'm sure we'll go beyond this: unity and cooperation, fostering greater unity, collaboration, cooperation, economic empowerment. I think all of us in this circle and beyond realize that a key component of freeing ourselves is freeing ourselves from debt position and limitations. Human capital development may be the most important thing, especially seeing that Africa now is the youngest part of the planet. And it is estimated by 2030, 20% of all young people will be Africans from the motherland, as well as around the world. Technology, innovation, so very important for all development countries, especially as African countries are moving into this middle stage of family wealth, community wealth. And last point, sustainable development. Sovereign, sustainable development is key. We cannot make leaps and bounds only to be pushed back by natural or unnatural disasters. That's a good grounding for me to get in this conversation.
Interesting. So I was asking about the very promising sectors, even as superpowers are interested in Africa. Going into 2030, where by that time we're going to, form part of 21% of the global total. Of course, the young people here in Africa will do so. what are the most promising sectors, before I go to Chaz, that you can tell us, especially with the work you have done, with your research and your narratives on what Africa is?
The most promising sectors are, of course, African indigenous industrialization. We are now to move from only being just the sources of raw materials, iron, cobalt, coltan, and so many others, but we're moving now more into self-processing. Africa's immense agroeconomic potential is something that we can and should take to the world. The second most popular, second most organic farming country in the world, highest percentage of organic farming, is actually Uganda, behind India. Now we need to take our food production to various stages of being able to export finished products. Dried fruits from Africa that are organic will be immense drivers of revenue. I did author a book that you and I have talked about, my earlier book, The Blackest Soil Africa Can Feed the World, and I was very serious about that subtitle. Africa has a potential to feed a global population of 12.9 billion people should it fully exploit 2.160 billion acres of land, arable land that it has. So we're going to do a better job of getting these plans into place and getting the resources and collaboration into place to manifest all of Africa's potentialities. We're talking about technological innovation. We're talking about youth capital development. We're talking about educating women and girls to their full potential, which has unfortunately been constricted, restricted for far too long. And quite simply, that's like unleashing twice again Africa's current potential.
Very interesting, very, very interesting. And so on that, let's lay the foundation now. Let me touch base with Menencia now. Look, you started speaking about how the youth, where we need to look at 0 to 35. I am more interested in the preparedness of the young African towards the things that, Mr. Avadu just spoke about. How prepared are we in terms of critical skills that are needed in various sectors of the economy that we have said is promising? With your work, what have you found?
Okay. Actually, when I was preparing for this discussion that I was saying, I find it a bit difficult because I like to work against set targets. I was asking myself to say, how do I measure that we have prepared the skills of young people and training? What was that last target? Where are we now? So that we can identify the problems. There are so many things surrounding the youth. One of them is the investment in education. When I was reading different sources, I picked up the fact that probably in the past, or the tradition was more to focus on science and technology at the older age. But then the investment at the lower levels, where the foundation is supposed to be very strong, the investment there, based on the information I could get, is that I picked up a rate of 6.5% investment in Africa, and that is from 0 to 5 years, which is a foundation. But when you come to older ages, probably high school and varsities, from 12, 15 years upwards, the investment was rated at 55%. But now, that's if the data is something to go by. Now, how do we ensure that as much as we have gone already, we are here now, we must still ensure that our young people are ready for the market, as it was said, for the world in how many years to come. Our labor will come from this continent. True. And we have to be competitive. Now, young people, what are we doing? And I'm also focusing more when it comes to communication, because they say information is power, depending on what you do with it and how accurate you inform the people. What is the percentage of our information distribution to empower everybody, to ensure that what was said now, we are on par, so that we go to Ghana and say, you have done very well in this sector when it comes to young people. How can Namibia step from that market? So yeah, it's an exciting discussion. And for now, maybe let me end it just here.
Absolutely.
The focus, young people. And as much as we talk about young people, we have to start not only from zero, like what I was saying, but from preparations at the birth, planning and all that.
Well, quite a number of conversations we're going to be having. I mean, these are thought leaders who have been engaged in research, who have communicated largely with young people, with Africa on various sectors. All we are looking for now is to begin to cause a certain paradigm shift, mindset shift of the people of Africa, especially the young people who, again, are going to be the critical workforce for the world by 2030. And for me, the concentration is largely going to be, where can we spot the opportunities? How can we prepare ourselves before we even look at the conducive environment that must be created by our leaders, i.e. the heads of states, the presidents, the ministers, and of course, the government apparatus that we would always look up to. Because you see, for me, one thing that has failed us, even though we are seeing some promising leadership on the continent of Africa, is we always go back to the issue of leadership. Again, if you asked anyone, it's being one that is being overemphasized, right, across the generations. We've talked about leadership. Indeed, our very own Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah was one who led conversations to that particular effect. But here we are today. It's as though the center cannot hold. And so these African Opportunities Initiative Thought Leadership series is going to unearth a lot of knowledge. It will bring about narratives, but you who are watching us must come to terms with the fact that you need to begin to change in mindset, and so that we can forge ahead. And so, having said that, let me just quickly touch base with Charles Kaiser now. I mean, you have spent a lot of time here in Ghana, and you've spoken, you've seen quite a number of people come to your workspace that you set up, Serenity House, Ghana, and you've seen the knowledge oozing out of young people. Let's touch base again with the phenomenon of preparedness of the young people from where Meninsia left off.
Well, in terms of Serenity House Ghana, which I now curate locally and throughout Ghana, it's actually more so grown people coming to Serenity House Ghana. But in terms, I do want to touch upon the youth. I do think there's a severe underpreparedness with the youth that really is a cause of not having adequate learning, because although, like in America, we would say that the cost for education is inexpensive in Ghana, for the vast majority of Ghanaians, it's very expensive. Even those that are so-called almost free, you have to have school clothes to go to school. And so I think that when it comes to how we're going to prepare the youth, first we have to make sure they can actually afford school to begin with, to go from throughout all phases of school, and have more learning that is focused on critical thinking, rather than how I have found, because I have visited many Ghanaian schools, on didactic learning where the teacher just basically says, okay, this is exactly what you need to learn. This is it. Don't ask me questions. That's it. As opposed to inspiring critical thinking in students. So that is the problem that I have seen in Ghana, and it could transfer, to other parts of Africa. But I think education that is more adequately accessible, and it is focused on critical thinking, if we want to have a workforce that can work not just hard, but work very smart.
Very interesting. Let me now touch base with Mr. Piamafo. I was speaking to Dr. Ishmael Niamanododo the other day, who is a senior UN diplomat here in the studios when I had time with him. He stated that, well, there could be an issue with the critical skills of the African youth, but it inures to the benefit of Fortune 500 companies, Amazon, all the others, Teslas, and all of that. And so you're talking about Elon Musk and all of that, Jeff Bezos, to come help with the critical skills of the African youth, because you see, like it or yes, this will be the space that they'll be depending on to get labor. Are we in a position to, you know, tailor make, or if you like, even reposition ourselves that we attract some of these people who would want to invest in, and of course, not also take them away from the shores of Africa?
Thank you for your question, but I'm just going to bust your bubble in a little bit. I won't go to the area talking about Elon Musk coming here to look for labor. What I want to talk about a little bit is what we Africans can do and lift up ourselves from where we are to the next level.
Right.
And if you can look at, in fact, the trend by which chairs talk about Malaysia and the like, if you look at the population growth on the continent of Africa, in fact, to quote the Malthusian theory of population, he sort of talk about the fact that the population is growing at a geometric rate, as opposed to resource, which is at the arithmetic rate, which means that population is growing in heaps and bounds. 2, 4, 6, 8, 16. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
That is geometric of the population growing. The arithmetic rate of the resources is just 1, 2, 3. So it doesn't match up with the growing population. That is one. The second point is, in the whole of Africa, in terms of our growth rates, we have 3.5%, which means that the women are very fertile and the young men are also. So the problem is the issue of fecundity. When we say fecundity, it's physiological ability to reproduce when you do not have resources to back the reproduction. Do you see the trick here? So young kids are giving birth, and it is swelling the base, which is from 0 to 15. And this is a serious thing that we are looking at. So the African population, even though you do see us very big in the next 20, 30 years, we will be. However, you find at the base is bigger than those at the top. And we are talking about people, sometimes if here in Ghana, when somebody is 21 years old, he's still staying with his mother and his father. He cannot get access to a job. Do you see it? So here, matching up what the population with regard to the resource base I'm talking about. Now, let me go a little bit deeper. When I consider this problem on the continent of Africa, I believe, and in fact it's my firm belief, that Africa can actually grow out of where we are now and to follow up in real development based on Pan-African motives, Pan-African principles. Why do I say that? The Pan-African principles actually have a base. There is a, let me quote, a guy called Jechi wrote a book. And when he wrote the book, he quoted Nanase Oforiata the first.
Okay.
He said, a people without culture are characterless. A people without culture are characterless, which simply means to me that character formation is part and parcel of the culture of the people. And so if Africans generally, we have left the way we do things and are imbibing and accepting the way Europeans and accepting the way Americans, of course, we live in a global villa. I am not saying that we are, we form a microcosm of the world. However, there is the need for us to really ingrain in our roots, which has to be with our culture.
Yeah.
Once we have that base, it then now sets up the standard for us to be able to affect our education, affect our communication, affect our economy, affect the way we deal with one another on the continent of Africa. This has been one of the major problems we have not been able to tackle. No wonder Elon Musk and others people are looking at them as if they are demigods. These individuals are not demigods. The only issue is that we have left our base and we are now sticking to the base of them. It makes it very difficult for us to develop. No wonder when people take government or come to government or come to power, it becomes very difficult for us. We don't move forward. I am in the field of human resource training. I am in GIMPA.
Yeah.
And in international relations and public management. Tell you what, I train those from I would say those in master's, PhD, and undergraduate. I've written a couple of books just that probably you don't know. In the course of time, we will make some of them available.
Absolutely.
The point I'm making here is that we train these individuals, and now these individuals, because of maybe the pedagogy that we used over the years, not ingrain it under the principles of African Pan-Africanism, it becomes very difficult for these individuals to be able to imbibe the things that we are telling them. So it becomes just a talk show. Teach them, chew, pour, pass, and then forget. Then at the end of the day, these individuals become a misfit. In our own system, the only alternative is to go to wash plates, wash all kinds of stuff in Britain, in Americas. So then the question is, what are we doing? How are we trying to mop up and show our economies and lift them to the levels to which we're supposed to be able to train people properly? These are some of the roots I think we should look at. Elon Musk, excuse me to say, these are some people, when you read a couple of them, things around them, they don't pay taxes. They exploit the tax loopholes out there. This is not something that I want my kid to learn. Let's be real, and I'm being real here, I'm sorry. But the point is very clear. We need to understand the root of Africa. Look, Du Bois, W.E. Du Bois said that for Africa to be able to move to the next level, it must ingrain itself in its culture. And we must formulate the culture in such a way that it becomes part and parcel of our education. The problem here is this. The education on the continent of Africa, when you speak English very well, so you speak English very well. Speak your own language and you find people laughing at you. I am telling you, I don't speak Twi very well. Meanwhile, I speak Ga very well. I live here, Accra boy, for those of you who know Accra Academy, and went to University of Cape Coast, got a scholarship and left for the United States. Stayed in Florida, schooled in Florida, did masters and PhD, and returned in 2014. Started working with Kofi Fitness, started working with Gimpa, started working in all over the place. So, and I do go to Rhode Island University to go and lecture as well. Let me make this point clear. What I'm trying to get the panel to understand is that African education must be connected and rooted in the Pan-African principles. Dr. Nkrumah saw this. We used this, and it worked. At the point in time, today, our education is having a problem because people have not, governments have not sit and think through. Lee Kuan Yew did it in Singapore. What is the difference that we can't do the same here on the continent? That is why I like Menisia when she was talking about the fact that there is a need for us. And in fact, Chess also talked about it. I will too also talk about it. But I'm just making the point clear that it is necessary for us to root our education in that and bring our people up to the level. Could you believe when we were, you and I, you the host, I mean, you know me, and you know what happens here. Autofista dressing. What is this type of dressing? Autofista dressing. We dress anyhow. Young boys and young girls eat with their lefts in public. Do not even see the essence of it. I am telling you, it hurts. When I walk around and see people like that, I'm telling you, I'm just bursting my heart, please. It hurts to see that. And when you see them in class, even when they want to respond to questions, they use their left hand. In fact, I'm not against the fact that you are a southpaw or whatever it is. That's not the point. But they put up their hands and it's the left. You, the host, Kojo, and me, when we're in school, can you use your left to answer questions? You are dead and gone. The root is not there. We're having a problem with regard to, probably you will say globalization, what have you. Right. But we can tailor our own. This is my point.
I see.
We tailor that, and let me leave it. I think we will go in deeper, and we will bring out some things.
We will. Thank you
so very much.
We will. And I like how the fire has started from you, and of course started from the others as well. But I mean, let's now touch base with Kidi Amadu, and going from that, you again have written books, and you've also started narrative towards the Pan-Africanism being the base and the foundation of African education. And without that, the moral decay that we're seeing is what, and of course, loss of self-identity. You want to walk us through that, but most importantly, touch base with practical ways to reintroduce Pan-Africanism into our education here in Africa.
Yes, wonderful. Our beloved sister Chaz and myself find ourselves domiciled in the United States. And as far as I understand, our brothers and sisters from across the Pan-African world have looked to this particular group of African people as progressive, potentially wonderful leaders, advanced in technologies, capable of managing all of the various systems that comprise a modern, highly developed technological state. Yet then again, we understand and we have to own up to the fact that African Americans have largely disappointed many of our ambitions of unity around the world by just not being there, not participating. Now, I must acknowledge, and we have not yet acknowledged in the program, today is the date set aside during the calendar year that we commemorate the birth anniversary of the Honorable Nobel Prize winning Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. Praise be his eternal name. He inspires us continuously, and it is only befitting that we honor such a great Pan-African man, as we also honor the other Pan-Africans and our connections to Nnamdi Azikiwe, to Kwame Nkrumah, who's educated in our communities in this country as well. So there is a river, as the book by Vincent Harding mentioned, there is a river that goes through us all, that binds us and links us and moves us through history. There are a couple of points that I heard made, and I think it's very important, and it is appropriate to the question that you asked of me. Chaz was talking about a vicious circle, or my notes, a vicious circle of underinvestment has led to subsequent underdevelopment. Yet across the global community, we can see that the ability to finance our own collective transformation is actually there. One of the things that I do academically, I'm very proud of this research, I do it every year, is I calculate how much that this group of 62 million people of African heritage in the United States do we spend during the 61 days of November and December for this bubble called holiday consumer spending. And this year, the calculation is that during the 61 days of November and December, African Americans spent on average $1,117 million a day. And the problem is 3 months later, we don't have anything to show for it except for more debt, and Black businesses are no stronger for us having invested that much. Should we have a plan to commit just 2% or 5% of that money toward Pan-African sustainable development? African Americans alone could triple the annual budget of the African Union from its current, I think, about $700 million a year, could triple that with no effort at all and not even see a flinch in this holiday shopping spending. So we're going to do a better job of reaching our full potential. We're going to have to do a better job of raising voices like the ones that are in this panel that can articulate what are the critical elements that we must be investing in. I'm doing the best I can, but sometimes, like the song says, I guess my best wasn't good enough. I'm going to do better this coming year. And with this upcoming book, The African Future, I think we have a formula that's going to help many, many more of us become active collaborators and cooperating towards our own sovereign and sustainable development.
Charles, let's talk about technology innovation penetration into, of course, the continent of Africa. If you have had any data on that, what is there currently? And also, how does that also help us, in leap bounds so that we can get to our destination? I'm saying this because the young people are clearly gravitating towards the use of technology. The understanding is quicker. The young people are quite okay with gadgets. They know there are ways around it. How can we use that as much as possible to make sure that they come to terms with what's happening, and so that thieving challenges on the continent of Africa are dealt with using technology and innovation. Use your experience to teach me that.
Mm-hmm. I have.
No, I want Chaz to do this. Chaz,
okay,
you're
I'm
right.
sorry.
Forgive me, Chaz, if you can hear me.
Well, I want to actually go back to one of the first questions you asked and tied it in.
Please
One
do.
of the first questions I believe you asked was what is one of the main sectors that needs to grow, like not just in Ghana but throughout Africa, like, and I believe it's agriculture, because if we can't feed ourselves, then we can't heal ourselves and we can't help ourselves. So when it comes to innovation, I constantly hear people talk about, well, but it's more than just kids being on tablets. It's how can it be used? Because if you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, when that's your way around the computer, you're not going to be helpful. So I think it's investments in technology that are going to be geared towards sectors that need the most in technological investment. And I believe that's agriculture. So what I would like to see is students being taught on how to leverage technology to better have more sustainable agriculture, not just technology in a bubble where it's just, okay, we're learning about computers, we know how to do Word, we know how to do Excel. That's not enough. It's how can we leverage technology so that we can do better investments in transportation, and specifically in agriculture. I think that's the number one need I see, is us being able to better feed ourselves, which takes a lot of technological innovation.
I see. Meninsia, the case of the young people, and I mean, you have led news, you're chief of news, led it across the television itself and online as well. How have we, in any case, promoted the interest of young people across the continent, especially even in Namibia? I'm asking this because you hear a lot of African leaders talk about the future being that of the young people. The young people are the future, and so we are doing a lot of things to make sure that they are well positioned to do. How have you seen that? Is it just a talk shop? And what must we be doing? Must we force them to look at the young people and, of course, to formulate policies to do that? What have you seen, really? Share. Meninsia, if you can hear me. Yes.
Yes. Firstly, Namibia just completed its population census 2023. So the findings there, the results was that 71.1% are young people, 0 to below 35. So that already tells us now, us as broadcasters, I had already told the team to say, we do care for our mothers, grandmothers, the experts who laid the ground for young ones to come through. How prepared are we to ensure that the content they get is right and they get it through the right platforms? Then the technology aspects come through the digital platform. Okay, we started with, for example, TikTok news, but what's the percentage of our internet penetration in the country? That's 53%. And the affordability of all this, whether it's a smartphone and all those data, I don't want to go there, but that's why we are there, because at the end of the day, we are the leaders. The good thing is that we are seeing the challenges. We must try to avoid them. Like COVID taught us technology issues, capacities, whether it's where you need to listen to your radio from, is that you need your laptop. The young ones, the cell phone is no longer, it's a necessity. So the schools, the varsities are changing. And the great thing also here in Namibia is that the youth organizations, the student organizations, they are also at the forefront. The teachers, we are at the beginning of the year now. We just had the results of the high school, and they were looking at what are the issues, how can we improve? So already we need to increase on the internet penetration. The telecommunication companies are already saying, okay, like Telecom Namibia, we aim to have coverage by this 100%. Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, we are saying at the moment, in terms of digitalization, we're covering 74.5%. That's television. Radio is higher, maybe because of its affordability. But we have come up with a plan where we were using DTT, which was costly at that time. But as the technology evolves, we are now looking at direct to home, what is called direct to home. The tech colleagues are telling us to say this is cheaper and we'll be able to cover 100% of the country. The country is vast. The population is only 3 million. So that's where we must look at. And then there is also a narrative or co-leadership coming through. At the table, like myself, I've also been in broadcasting since it's over 30 years.
Wow.
So now, as a leader of the group, when we are in a meeting, my message is, until when are we going to be the oldies here, the experts? Where are those people that will broadcast to? So we have, as a beginning, we have a radio station for young people, managed by young people. They deal with their own things editorially. They are learning, but we're watching a bit, not really from a fence, but to ensure that we don't get into trouble litigation-wise. So there is work that is being done, and I'm also grateful that as much as we have challenges, our forefathers, foremothers, they have done great work, because when you look at the principles of the then OAU that turned into AU, I covered that summit actually in Durban when they changed it. They had certain objectives which have been done, probably not completely. And the problem I again have is that I can't measure the issue of liberation, yes, elimination of colonialism, maybe it's 90%. And then when it comes to cooperation and integration, where are we? What are those issues? The issues of peace and stability. How do we measure that? Do we look at a country that has conflict, that has violence? Is that a sporadic one? So a lot of work has been done. It's now up to us who are at the helm of it. We have no one else to blame but ourselves. So that's why I'm glad today. I hope I can take up one or two things that I can take back to the team and say, here, we need to tweak here and there. So yeah, it's, being a broadcaster, we talk a lot.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Well, we're also trying to see if we can get the Namibian ambassador to join us one of these days, or we have a tete-a-tete with her as well on these issues and what the country has been doing. And so we're going to be doing just that. And it was also just part of, this is one of the, many of the interviews that are going to be coming. For those of you just joined in, this is the African Opportunities Initiative, the Thought Leadership Series that we have started. We're looking at Africa as a continent, what we must begin to do, the young people most especially, who are going to be making the world's population, especially from Africa, who will also be positioned as the critical skilled youth by 2030. How must we prepare them? And that's what we're talking about today. We have our very own Kidi Avadu, who is from Las Vegas, an author and broadcaster. You just heard Menensia Munjo is also Chief of News at the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation. We also have Charles Kaiser, who is an entrepreneur and, of course, a communicationist, communication specialist. And then I'm going to Mr. Pia Mafo, who is a lecturer at GIMPA. Dr. Pia Mafo, forgive me. Dr. Pia Mafo. Now the case is the taste and preferences of the young people. Look, quite a number of them want to own businesses. As to whether they have ideas, they have the skills to do so, is one thing. But we can leverage their interests and what they want to do, their preferences. Now is the case of the cross-border trade and the issues thereof. Yes, we can start from home, but have you seen lately or in the past where there is a clear direction to helping them, of course, not only becoming entrepreneurs, but very skilled one at that, and ones who will succeed beyond just their taste and preferences?
Thank you for the question. Let me just take you back to what Ches said with regard to agriculture. I think, in my view, is that agriculture should be redefined. You see, growing up here in Ghana, before I embarked on probably traveling outside the country, and in Africa generally, when we talk about agriculture, when you have a problem, like you talk too much in class, or you were truant, and you misbehave, the teacher want to punish you. They ask you, go and weed the back of the building, you see? So that sank in us this idea of, hey, agriculture, no, me weeding, I can't do weeding. I don't like that. You see, that is in there. And so agric need to be redefined. It is not only the growing of crops, but also the rearing of animals. So therefore, if you can't feed yourself, the ultimate insult. Russia is having bombs, it cannot feed itself. The ultimate insult. We in Africa must define agriculture, making sure that individuals can go into animal rearing. For example, you know, currently Dumelu, the young man who had now become an honorable. This individual, I am not popularizing anybody in terms of whatever it is. I'm just talking about the factual issues. This individual had entered into agric, producing eggs, massive in numbers. I know him personally. I taught him. In fact, I taught him at public leadership and governance. So I know him very personally. And agric need to be looked at. What are the flagship agricultural produce that we do have in Ghana, that we can channel the youth to take up that argument? The flagship one is our cocoa, is there. Cashew. Talk about many others that you and I, we are aware. What are we doing within the chapter of our education to let individuals know that here, when you get in, we are going to give you resources and back you with some level of technology or some level of mechanism to enable you take the land and do it in a mass production through that way, so we can be able to process whatever you are bringing out there and we add into. Today, people are so excited when they talk about Burkina Faso as far as what tomato is concerned. You see, the leadership is important, and I think it's one of the issues. Let me put that in there. The leadership bankruptcy in Africa. Leaders, for example, if you read, I know all of us are Christians, when you read Titus chapter number 1, verse 5, if you will maybe just read that. Yes. Now, it was Paul talking, and what did he say here in Titus chapter 1, verse number 5? For this cause, let I thee increase. Which means he's talking to Titus. So Titus was left increased, that thou shouldest set in order the things that are wanting. Leadership is made up of things that are wanting. What are the things we are looking for? So you set in order. What are the things that individuals who have been appointed in leadership position would have to concentrate on? That is what I meant by the flagship produce that we do have. What are some of the things that they handle the education through, so as to say that this is the area we have our strength and we can really make more out of this? What is leadership making policy towards? What are policy direct to it? So when you receive whatever loans it is, whatever money you take from anywhere, how do you channel the money to recruit, to make money, one, and as you invest, the money that comes in, how you then now diversify the place. This is one area. So further, to tie it into this is attitudinal change on the continent of Africa. The youth must have that understanding, or the adult must connect to this idea of changing the attitude, making the youth realize we have to change our attitude. We don't do it as it is. We have to do it this way. It is not living here and going to Singapore, living here and going to America and go and wash plates, or living here and having a chaos, roadside something that will get you what we are talking about. It is not production, as it were. Even though you are rather importing most of the things, as in Ghana here, we import them. And so your balance of payment, we will talk about those things if you have to go, you won't finish today. But let me just make it clearer. That is attitudinal change. And then this idea of people going into church, I'm not saying you shouldn't serve Jesus, no. But this concept of blind optimism as in compared to the issue of proactive and pragmatic issues. You see, the youth must be taught that you can make money. When I returned from the States, I was told if you want to make money, you have to go to some juju man and you don't shower. When you don't shower, you stay at home, and then in the course of that, you make money. How do you do this? Dangerous. And then they sell themselves to all cops, they sell themselves to all kinds of people. And meanwhile, they are not buying the Rolls Royce. You know the car they buy. The one that when you go to Italy, you go and the small ones. Then you go and pick. I can't believe this. You see, I'm saying this thing because I've been in it and I've seen the way it's operating.
Right.
And here you are, small boys, they want to make money. Yet, do not know that there is a need for me to get into the real production base. And blind of, I don't know whether that is the correct one. Maybe those of you who have plenty English, you'll be able to explain this. This idea of not moving, not proactive. No, I don't have to suffer to make money. Hey, you need to suffer to make the money. You need to be, pragmatic, looking at the issue and school yourself and have the more knowledge. The more you have more knowledge, then you can earn more, then you can give more. You earn more, you learn more, earn more, give more. These are principles. And of course, I think African leadership must also change.
Right.
The leadership, I'm going to put my mark on it. The leadership must move away from the dictatorial leadership to the transformational leadership style. That is what I feel. It is believed that if we can change how we see things, the things we see will change.
Right.
Let me leave it there and we can talk some more.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And Dr. Pierre Mafo raised a very important question about leadership and came into the issue of also dictatorial. I want us to also talk about leadership even as we conclude the very first part of our conversation, right? And this particular one is coming from a very unpopular way of governance. And I'm referring to Captain Ibrahim Traore, who is the second youngest president in the world, just 36 years, and the president of, or the head of states of Burkina Faso. Now, as much as you're talking about how he came into power and how unconventional this is, and I'm coming to you, Mr. Kidiawadu, we're talking about a man who has been able to build a new airport, Ouagadougou Donsing Airport. We're talking about one that has increased rice production from 280,000 metric tons in 2022 to about 326,000 metric tons in 2024. We're talking about he increasing millet production from 907,000 in 2022 tons to 1.1 million metric tons in 2024. Tomato production in Burkina Faso increased from 315,000 metric tons to 360,000 metric tons in 2024. And the list continues of the good things that he's doing in Burkina Faso. People have said that the young people are now looking up to a man like this, because if we cannot get this from democratically elected governments, but this man who came in using force can give it to us, this is the mindset of the young people. Where do we draw the balance? Speak to us, Mr. Kidiawadu.
All right. And I think I got the general gist of your question. It was a momentary interruption, but we're back now. You speak about this brilliance, this remarkable example of Burkina Faso as part of this new African state, the Confederation of Sahel States. And we do have to acknowledge that a new state was born in Africa, July 6, 2024. Before that, Algeria was Africa's largest geographical nation. Now, this Confederation of Sahel states has taken over that #1 position, and we should acknowledge that. There has been a brilliant focus on agriculture during our conversation, and I think if there's any one thing that can come out of this conversation, a focus on agroeconomic development would be a wonderful start of this collaboration that we're talking about. And a few points that were made about that. One of the key points is Africa is going to upgrade its technological capacities in one key area is avoiding spoilage. At present, Africa sees about 30% of its agricultural products spoil before they get to market. With a few simple technological changes, such as on-site food processing, juicing and bottling our juices for export or for distribution. Before we get to export, we got to feed ourselves first. And simple dehydration. I myself invented a solar dehydrator that I would love to bring to Ghana, bring to East African Federation, any part of Africa, and mass produce. It's relatively easy to mass produce. And as I said, it's solar powered. So our energy is now encompassing, our sustainable energy is encompassed in the real solution of how to cut spoilage of some $100 billion a year of African food spoiled. We do see infrastructure growth is contributing towards this positively, but one of the keys is, and I'm so glad that Chaz really introduced this conversation. It's now kind of resonating amongst us, is value addition. Corrupted, confiscated, and or constricted or controlled by external groups, external factors. This is a key battlefront area where we can do a lot of work. Just a couple more points here on that. Organic nutritional supplementation. Because African countries like Uganda, Tanzania have such a high percentage of their products are grown organically, we need to take the world lead in producing organic African supplementation, things like the baobab, moringa, and so many others that are being developed in Africa, soursop. We can take the lead on that. I really encourage many more of our people to look at this. And I think this is a prime area where our impact on the young, one of the challenges Africa's demographic dividend has is the number of young people that are leaving the countryside, the rural countryside, and migrating to the urban centers for its pursuit of increasing their income. Well, by value addition, local processing, using technologies, these young people now can be encouraged to stay in the rural areas and build up coalitions of themselves for small business enterprise, small, medium-sized enterprise development that's going to diverse environment of Africa, also give these young people areas where now the community sees them as terms of African agroeconomics. That's an area that excites me to my core, and I do believe towards moving this narrative of Africa rising to the reality of the African future Agroeconomics is a key position where we're going to make a lot of headway, a lot of sustainable ground.
Absolutely. If I got all of you today, we're looking at largely the case of reintroduction of Pan-Africanism into the education.
So I'm going to go back and I'll keep it in 30 seconds. One of the things you had mentioned was the idea of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos with Amazon coming in and being a help to Ghana and a help to Africa. And I just want to say that I really do disagree. That goes, and I know you were, it's just that they're coming in. It goes against, to me, the whole idea of Pan-Africanism. And we cannot be reliant, I'm American, all right, but we cannot be reliant on America or any other country besides those in Africa to save Africa, especially the likes of Elon Musk, who does not care about Africans or Black people.
Whoa.
And so I think that Pan-African, that is the only way. There's a billion people in Africa, and we have the resources and the talent and knowledge to save ourselves. And again, I believe that one of the ways it's going to be in is by sustainable agriculture. That's all.
Absolutely. Well, the case initially was that because they were going to look towards Africa, it is the best interest to make sure that the critical skills of the youth is also managed well. And so it's in their best interest, not the other way around, though.
But they won't.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let me do minutes now, 30 seconds if you can.
Okay, 30 seconds. Agriculture. Great. But we have to adhere to what we have decided as leaders in Africa.
Right.
We have agreed, I think it was in Maputo, I attended that summit too, that said 10% of the national budget must be set aside for agriculture. How many countries are doing it? In Namibia, yes, a lot of effort is being done, but how do I measure that this is where we are now? They have started with seeds, improvisation, mechanization, things. We saw that. We have dedicated programs for that. So leadership, holding people accountable, and even when other people come from outside, partnership, collaboration, we can't rule that out. Foreign direct investment must come, but it's the way we set up our contracts and manage them. And then we turn around to the people. But in the meantime, it's us, and not only us, but we kill the journey of the young people, because by the time they take over from us, as much as we say there is core leadership at the same people, we have already closed their journey.
I see.
So there is a lot of work to be done. But so far, so good. I remain really positive. I'm always optimistic. It's us. The solution is with us. If we can, we have a lot of experts. Let's bring that at the table. Ghana and Namibia, we are trading. We have some peers here in terms of agriculture. Namibia takes salt and beef there. You bring in railway infrastructure, and you know, it's 30 seconds. I can't finish it today, but
absolutely
next time.
All right, we're going to come on again. Let me do Dr. Appiah for now.
I think I'm not going to take much of your time, just to add to what almost all the speakers have spoken about. The issue is quoting a paper that is Agricultural African Development Bank Group 2017. You can write it down and later cross-check.
Okay.
Within this document, they argue that Africa, as far as agroeconomics is concerned, what I talked about, and the chairs also talked about, as far as agro business is concerned and trade, Africa trade with Europe 70%. Africa trade with Asia 50%. Amongst ourselves, we trade 14.5%. So clearly, it tells you that money, capital flight, the capital flight has to it goes to them. It doesn't stay on the continent for development. Menisia talks about day trading with us, okay? And that amount of money, whatever we are looking for, is within intra-African trade. We are the only ones who have formed one of the most powerful free trade area. Africa Continental Free Trade Area, galvanizing almost about 55 countries together. Europe is only 28. So the question is that the money is not out there. We've been with these Europeans for over 75 years. What has that got into? We have gotten into.
I see.
Let's come home. Trade amongst yourself. We produce, we sell it. Amongst ourselves, we get the money. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This is part of a series that was started, and so be sure that we're going to be coming your way with this beautiful minds. After this, we're going to be situating it in the phenomenon of agriculture, education, one after the other. Charles Kaiser is communications consultant for the United Nations Environment Program. Meninsa Munjo is chief of news programs at the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, NBC. Gideon Avadu is also a broadcaster and author at Las Vegas, and of course Dr. Samuel Yao Apia Mafu is senior lecturer of Department of Public Management and International Relations at GIMPA. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's make a date once again on another exciting one, and I'm sure Africa will begin to rise even as we do so. We're grateful. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Precious joins me here to say our final goodbyes. Stay.
I want to welcome you to Wake Up Africa Morning Show. If Africa has ever needed to wake up, it's now. I promise you that this Wake Up Africa Morning Show will impact your life. It will illuminate you. The Bible said that thy word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. You need this insight. You need the understanding required to make all the difference in all of our lives. I want you not just to tune in to the Wake Up Africa Morning Show, but I want you to be a sponsor. I want you to partner with us as we take this Wake Up Africa Morning Show, the inspiration it brings, the impact across all Africa, to homes, to individuals, impacting lives. Join us to make a difference. It is said and believed that in this life, what you do to change the life of others matters than what you acquire for yourself. It is believed that it's not what you have, what you possess that matters, but the difference you made in the life of others. I believe as you partner with Wake Up Africa Morning Show, you'll be joining us to make a difference in the life of so many people out there. Partner with us, and every time we touch a life, you are blessed. Every time we impact a family, you'll be remembered for good. God bless you. Looking forward to partnering with you and tuning in to Wake Up Africa Morning Show.
When you hear the voice of the Archbishop,
I tell you,
it ends it all. Good morning to you, the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, and of course, Lady Rosa Whittaker Duncan Williams. It's been a wonderful time, you know.
I think Wake Up Africa, if I had to prescribe something, medication for a dying Africa, is Wake Up Africa.
Indeed.
It's amazing. I enjoyed your interview.
Yes.
It was deep. It was very insightful.
Right.
It I think that every youth must listen
Yes.
to this and align their goals because Africa is going somewhere.
Yeah.
You don't want to go the opposite direction.
Indeed.
You know, and I feel like the moment Africa gets there, the memo will be sent to the world.
I see.
You
So what
get-
we're going to be doing in the coming times where the series will continue, we're going to segment it and of course serialize the conversations. There will be young people that will come through. We'll do education, agriculture separately, and so that we can have the best of the
Exactly,
interviews
and it will be amazing. Africa has one of the wildest minds.
Yeah.
We're talking natural resources and also our brains actually work.
Yeah.
So we're good for the world.
I see.
So you don't want to miss any session of Wake Up Africa.
Yes.
We've had lots of messages actually coming
we have.
in, and
Okay.
people have enjoyed it.
Okay.
Somebody actually sent me, said, Koku made my day. And so thank you for making our day.
We bless God.
Yeah.
We're back tomorrow to do it all over again. It's been an exciting time. Make sure that you watch Dominion TV as always. But 6:30 tomorrow, this face. My name is Kokulumo.
And this face. My name is Biadola. See
Bye.
you tomorrow.
God bless you.